What's up, coders? Welcome to the tech capital of the world, Kernersville, North Carolina. I'm the CEO and founder of Coder Foundry, and I'm joined here by Kevin Doyle. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good today. Good.
All right. So today's the last day of August. I just now realized that. So
It is. It's not a whole new month tomorrow.
yeah,
It is. We're gonna get some of the storm tomorrow. Do you see that?
yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get wet.
So hopefully none of you guys. I don't know if any of you guys are down in Louisiana, but hopefully you're safe if you are. You're probably not even watching this if you are.
It
it's
went
crazy.
through there and laid a beating on that place.
Oh yeah,
so
it just hung. Did you see that? It just hung on the coast for like hours.
Yeah,
It just
it
spun there,
flooded
just destroying stuff. So yeah, if anybody has any friends, family there, whatever, hopefully they're all safe.
Yeah, I hope they're okay and safe.
Yeah, crazy few days. So we're gonna get some of that in the next few days. That'll be interesting.
All right,
so
cool.
hopefully we have power on Thursday. Should be all right.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting the massive brunt of it, so I think we're good.
All right.
Yeah.
So what we got on tech today? Anything interesting happening in the world that we need to talk about?
All kinds of stuff to talk about. We'll do the usual Q&A. So if you have questions, breaking in as a software dev, anything software related, anything developer related, we will get to those. Throw them in chat. I will queue them up, and we will do them in the order that they come in. Or if you super chat, that'll work too. You can jump the queue.
Yeah,
spending
and
it
then
all.
Like it and sub if you're not a sub yet. All right. So we've got pre-recorded videos, and
awesome.
We're live Tuesdays and Thursdays when we're not on vacation. So
yes. Yep. A few things to talk about first then that I found interesting in the news today. So a lot of people talking still about NFTs. NFTs are still big news, right? So
I think I'm going to hop in this game now.
You think?
Yeah,
really?
I think I am.
So hold on, as a buyer or okay, I was going to say as a buyer or seller. As a seller,
I'm going to learn how to make them. So after today's news. So
okay, yeah, exactly, right. So I read this story first. This was that somebody bought a fake Banksy, right? So there's a couple of angles to this. Firstly, the fact that it was £244,000, right, for this Banksy NFT, which apparently looked like this.
I think I can top this one, Kevin.
You think? I don't know. It's a Banksy though.
I mean, I might have to break out paint to do it, but I think I can top it.
But don't forget, he's trading on the fact that it's Banksy, right? So it's one of those things like the first NFT for Banksy. Turns out it was fake, right? Well, supposedly. Turns out the website was hacked and it's a fake NFT. But here's the downside to it. The guy can't actually get his money back. He's lost $336,000.
Wow.
On this. So, be careful when you're buying NFTs, I guess.
So did he get the NFT advertised?
I guess, yeah. But it's not. But what do you get? You don't really get anything. So the article makes
the hacked faked NFT. It's got to be double the price now.
Maybe. The article makes a point that they do not generally give the buyer the actual artwork or its copyright. So an NFT doesn't really.
That's what we said all the time.
I'm still misunderstanding.
Picture.
Exactly.
Yeah, unless it's guaranteed to be one and unique, but like.
Yeah, but it's not. Is it?
No.
I'm still a little bit like lost when it comes to NFTs. Even though I've read a bunch about them and I've seen a bunch about them, I still feel lost with them. It still just seems magical.
I'm going to learn how to make them. See what I can do.
So, turns out there is a market because, look, hold on. Just as we were talking about this morning, I mentioned this to you. I was like, I bought this news here and I was just like, hey, man, look at this Banksy thing, like sold for this amount of money. It's not even real. And then you were like, yeah, funny enough, I read a tweet this morning from our friend Alex. Ali, and hopefully he's here to defend himself. Alex, or not, you don't have to defend yourself, but hopefully here to talk about this. But he bought an NFT look. But I love the fact that he bought his first NFT, and this part here is great. I don't know what I'm doing.
See, I found my first customer right now, Kev. I like Tech Rally, Alex. I'm gonna send my NFTs to you.
This is what I'm saying.
Did he spend £244,000 though? Did he do that?
I don't know. I hope not. So, Alex, this is what I want to know. If you are here, or if you come back here, if you're not here, I'm gonna come and ask you on Twitter or whatever, or on Discord maybe or something. I want to know if you'll share what you did pay for it.
I think like what made you buy Banksy, it. Though.
It's better than a Banksy.
Way better than the Banksy one. That guy spent $336,000 on.
Yeah. So. No, I agree. It looks better. I agree. But don't forget that was a fake Banksy. So maybe Banksy's real one would be better. I don't know. But then it made me think. another story that literally was in the same feed as I was reading the other one on the same news site on BBC News, that this 12-year-old boy made £290,000 from these whale NFTs.
Yep.
Kid's
That's
12,
almost 400
man.
grand if you're counting.
On his summer holiday, made a bunch of variant, what he called weird whales, put them up as NFTs, and made that amount of money. It's nuts.
Totally doing it, man. I'm totally making them. I'm going to start tonight.
What's your theme going to be? You got a theme?
I don't know yet. I can think of anything. He made whales. I can do
weird
cats.
Whales. Exactly. You can have funky cats.
Dogs.
Like people love cats and dogs, and maybe it's cats or dogs, and you've got to
sharks. I could do Shark Week. Just put it out Shark Week, man. Next time.
NFTs during Shark Week. I like it.
I just call my site the Sharknado NFTs. That's what we need. That's what you need. I can do
That's it. Yeah. Oh, I think you might be onto something there. Maybe there is something there. So, big news for us around things that we kind of get involved in a lot is this. Microsoft finally gave us a Windows 11 launch date, October 5th.
Yeah. Just
so
in time
I was
for
like,
Christmas.
Exactly. It's kind of early in their life cycle because their window that they gave us, right? They told us I think they said, holidays, what they said, like holiday 2021. So October's like, wow, okay, you're going for Halloween. It's like before Halloween. It's like it's kind of real early. But I did read through this article, and the part that buried at the bottom was kind of interesting. The part that really threw me was that we know it's a free upgrade, right? They've told us that already.
Yeah.
Starts on October 5th. My flags went up then. I was like, hold on a minute. Starts on October 5th, or is it released on October 5th? And then they say will be phased and measured with a focus on quality. And qualified machines will be offered the upgrade by some point in mid-2022.
So it's going to take them 6 months or 6 to 9 months to roll this out to pre-existing machines. And it looks like the sale is for new machines. So if you get a brand new machine, you get
it's like they've never done a rollout
10,
before.
You got to go put your chip in and see if you can get in line to get it.
I don't understand. Hopefully there's a way to jump the line. Somebody will figure it out how you jump the line, just like they have done in other previous systems, right? There's always been ways to kind of jump the line and force these things.
Right.
There's going to be some hack somewhere that you do something and it allows you to download it, right? Hopefully. I don't know. Because I don't want to have to wait. I want to try it out. I want to play with it.
I'm not on the bleeding edge, man.
Well, I'm not brave enough to go into the beta stuff. I don't want to do that. Exactly. And I will give it a week. But, just in case there's something where it really, really falls down, Yeah. But otherwise, I think you're pretty safe. You can.
I mean, it's not like this is. You'd think they'd have it figured out by now on the 11th release of Windows. I mean, because we want to read. Yeah, maybe there's more. We want to forget Windows Me existed. I'm sure that all of Microsoft does. So
imagine if Microsoft
that didn't happen either.
Exactly. It probably. Hey, Austin, how's it going?
What's up, Austin?
Thanks
How you
for
doing?
the super chat.
Thanks, man.
It would have been great had they actually numbered them though. We were through number 11 because we would have forgot. Windows ME would be like, man, that Windows 6, that was terrible. But I don't know how many versions we've had, but it's a lot, and you think they'd know how to roll it out by now, right? I mean, this just seems backwards, man.
It just seems like they're a little bit gun shy. So we'll see.
Yeah,
they'll roll it out.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they're not confident in the fact that it's going to work. That's what worries me.
Yeah,
it's kind of scary.
Well, I think there could be a lot of problems with older hardware, things like that.
Maybe.
Maybe. We can make a taco NFTs, Kevin. Now that's an idea, Chad. So
Chad's first in line for the NFT tacos.
Weird tacos. That's what we need to make. Weird tacos.
I like it.
Actually, if we're going to go by his name, his is Weird Whale, so we have to have tremendous tacos or totally tacos.
Yeah. Totally tacos. Yeah, these are good.
Totally tacos NFTs.
If you start seeing these NFTs pop up, you know where they came from. That's funny. So yeah, interesting stuff going on about. One thing, I did have a news article, but one thing we talked about the other day too, and I will get to questions here in a second. One thing we talked about the other day was the rumored iPhone 13 having a satellite phone too. We talked about this off stream. We're like, oh, that's cool. And then it turns out I saw another article today saying, well, maybe it has it, but maybe it's for emergencies only.
So they turn it on or something like that.
I guess. I don't know. I guess you can only dial certain things in it. You can push an SOS button and it can kind of reaches out to the satellite equivalent of 911, I guess, makes a 911 call on a satellite, which that's all you can do with it.
I saw a senator saying that they're going to make a new law that they can turn on cellular servers for in countries that turn off their Wi-Fi access.
Okay.
So I was just saying, yeah, they kind of need towers in those countries. So there's that.
Right.
So I don't know what she was talking about.
Maybe it's satellite based.
But satellite communication could be interesting. But again, you got to have the radio and all the electronics in the phone.
Yeah.
So,
well, don't forget, we've had satellite phones for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
We just don't have really, consumer level satellite phones. They're very, very expensive.
Right.
And I'm sure they're charged like, we used to pay for cell phones. Like, I bet a minute costs a fortune on it. Like, it's going to be very, very expensive. It's not really I just imagine that's the case.
I mean, Sir Richard Branson put those satellites up in there for a reason, him and Elon,
Well, I wonder if they'll run on like Starlink, Elon Musk's thing.
Iridium is the technology for these satellite phones.
Okay, so that
I don't know what satellite has that. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was surprised if Elon
Musk. I would imagine it'd have to have
it.
electronics in that satellite and have to be kind of wired in for that stuff.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I would assume it's got to be compatible somehow. Yeah, that would make sense.
But, if you are Elon Musk and you are putting up satellites all around the globe, it seems like you'd at least have your personal satellite phone.
Well, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. That's crazy. Okay, let's get to some questions here.
People got some good questions. Leave some questions.
Just say, here's Austin real quick. Just remember, I had an interview. I haven't heard back yet. Okay, cool. Yeah, I do remember that. But I'm going to keep applying. Yeah, definitely. Don't. That's a good way to think about it, Austin, too. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Just because you've interviewed and even if you think you did awesome, you get another opportunity. Just keep going until you actually land something. Don't rush.
When you get an offer, take the first offer. Don't wait on someone to get back to you. Just keep on going.
Yep.
For sure. We've seen students wait on an offer and then not get it.
Through. Yep.
And so it sucks. Sets their job search back months sometimes when they do that.
Yeah. Sometimes they never break in, which really sucks.
Yeah, because they lose confidence. They put all their chips in that, and then it deflates the whole emotional part of this thing of getting a no. And it's like,
it sucks, especially when you're like this close to the yes. You get a verbal or something, and then it turns around. This is a common thing. Like you get a job offer, it comes to like the day before or something, and the company like decides, due to some financial restructuring, we can't do it anymore. It's like they have no obligation to give you the job. Like it happens.
Right. It happens.
Yep. Okay, let's go through some questions and things here then. Let's see, what's Sean saying? Sean said, started working on authentication authorization for the first time this morning, so you had a late night. Okay. I've got authentication working using bcrypt to store passwords. Now I have to learn about authorization. Cool stuff.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. JT wants to know, are there still portfolio reviews? We haven't done a portfolio review show in a while. Maybe we should do another one again.
We can do another one.
I like doing those. We like looking at you guys' work. It's always fun. It's always good to see what you're doing.
Especially if you're in that self-paced course. If you're in the self-paced course, maybe we'll do a self-paced course portfolio review. Kevin.
Yeah, we should. I've seen some really good ones.
Okay, we've seen some good ones.
I have. I've seen some good ones.
Reach out to Kevin if you're in the self-paced course and send us your portfolio. We'll review them on air. We'll do
drop me if you're in the Discord, drop me a DM in the Discord with your portfolio links. It's at.
We'll get a bunch today. Maybe we'll do it Thursday, but we'll give you a week to get them in.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll even look at some of the projects.
Yeah, I always like to click through as much as I can. Like Usman wants to know any guidance / learning material for full stack MERN developer for beginner.
There's tons of stuff in Udemy on that kind of stuff. Just buy a course and learn MERN. So I know there's MERN and PERN. So I don't know if you're tied to Mongo, but you can look at Postgres too. I think either way.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff.
A lot of material, a lot of courses out there.
Here's a question we get a lot.
I don't think so. No, not at all. I mean, look at the number of openings on Indeed right now. So I'm still looking for a .NET developer right now. So still looking, lots of opportunities out there. It is not saturated in any way, shape, or form. The reason is more and more things are getting connected, which means that they have to write systems. So it's just not websites, and it's everything. And older technology retires, which means we have to go through rewrites, things like that. And a lot of people have to be employed to do those kind of things. So it's constantly keeping up to date and then building new things. And then technology changes forces us to change what we're doing. So we're always doing that.
Just as an example, look at this. Look, I do a search on Indeed, look, right now, and I just narrow it down to just web developer, right? And Kernersville, right? I'm talking about Kernersville. Tech capital of the world, right? Kernersville. Within 25 miles of Kernersville, this is page 1 of 100. So if that tells you something, if we make this even larger, which would, if we put in like this, that's going to pull in a little bit of a larger area. But if you take this out and we put in, actually, I don't think that's going to matter, is it? I do that. There you go. 48,000 jobs. Web.
I'm sure some of those are duplicated, but like in general, man, there's a lot of opportunities out there for you. And if you live in a large city of any time, I know you may not live in the tech capital of the world, but if you live somewhere like New York, Austin, Houston, I was interviewing a candidate for the bootcamp there. She says, "Well, I have any problems finding a job in Houston?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think you're okay."
Yeah.
It's just when you live in South Dakota, or somewhere in some of the Billings, Montana, or something like that.
Yeah, and you need to work there. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's less population there. But like in general, if you're in a large populated city, you should have no issues learning how to code and getting a job. In fact, Kevin, shameless plug, we'll throw it up there. If you learn how to go
throw this up.
Foundry.com. So,
if you want to do the learning part, we can certainly help you with that.
Yeah, if you want to do the learning part, check us out, and Kevin will hook you up if you want to reach out to him. And then if you want to go to Selfpaced course, we'll hook you up there. If you want to come to the virtual bootcamp, which starts September 27th.
27, yeah. I think. Yep.
And then, so we're interviewing now. I have several interviews today, so we're filling up quickly. So if you want to do that, just go to learn.co.foundry and apply to the virtual bootcamp. Yep. Be kind of cool.
You got to get in soon. We did have might be, I think, our second largest pool of applicants ever.
Yeah. So
it's a big pool.
And so like when I last counted, it was 135.
Something like
so
that.
Far that's applied, and we're just now getting to September 1. So like usually we have a flood in the last 4 weeks.
Yep.
So
yes, and we'll only accept the best and the brightest.
Yeah, and we only our max is 30, no matter what happens. Doesn't matter how many people apply. The max is 30. So
we don't often get to that, do we? It's kind of interesting. It's kind of weird.
Been there before. I mean, yeah,
we have, but it's often the right people come along at the right time, right? It's like if we get it's like if we get 30 and like 10 of them are just like, I don't know, like maybe not, and it's just like we're like, we'd rather have 20 great people.
We would.
That's just how we work. So
we don't let everyone in, that's for sure.
Yep. Despite what some people say, about boot camps in general, I think some of them maybe do. I'm not sure. I think that's been leveraged against boot camps before. I mean, like, you've just got to throw money at them and they'll let you in. It's like, not really. Well, not for us. You don't anyway. I don't know about the other guys, but
yeah.
Okay. Let's see what we got next. It's an interesting one. Hex wants to know, how long does it take to become a decent front-end developer?
If you're learning on your own, I think it's going to take 6 to 9 months, somewhere in that range of study, depending on how much time you commit to studying to becoming a front-end developer. I don't know how long you're going to commit to studying, but if you're doing it on the weekends and you're consistent and dedicated, 6 to 9 months, something like that. If you go to a boot camp, we teach full stack in 12 weeks. So if you take a self-paced course, I think it's going to take 9 months to get through it. But we're more on the full stack side of the back end side than we are on the front end side.
Yeah. So I think at this point, we've had a few people in the self-paced course that have finished the blog. I want to say, I know of at least a couple that have got that far.
Got a job with the blog already, so that's good.
Yeah. Yep.
So the other thing too about front end, Hex, is think about what you mean by front end developer. Know like what we're talking about. Are we talking about React, which is a front end technology? Are we talking about design and HTML, UI, UX design? So they're different things when people talk about front end. Like, what does it mean to be a front end developer? Just HTML and JavaScript?
Right.
No stack on the front.
I would say you've got to have a stack at this point. You've got to have
Angular, something like that.
Yeah, you've got to have a front end framework, and you've probably got to have a CSS framework too.
Yeah.
I think
Bootstrap
HTML, CSS, and JavaScript probably just in itself isn't enough.
So you can lay out pages, things like that.
Yep.
And then an I for UI and UX is the other part that you'll need.
Because it also, because that's why this question is kind of subjective. Because you may never be a decent front-end developer, right?
Yeah.
You could learn everything on the world about front-end development, right? But if you don't know how to apply it and don't know how to design something, if you're responsible for that, you'll never be good at it. So you do kind of have to develop those skills too, or at least have some kind of an eye for it, if that's what you want to be doing.
So I think it's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and I would throw a framework on top of that, like React and Bootstrap or Tailwind. That's kind of where I would be. Then that's your learning. That's why it's going to take a long time. It's not just one thing. You know,
plus you've got to build some stuff. You can't just book learn this stuff.
I do think having a knowledge of like what a page layout should be, where do buttons go, how it should behave, those kind of things is the other thing. A front end would be kind of UI UX, except in the largest companies where they'll hand you a whole wireframe. In the smaller mid-sized companies,
right,
your job is to build the whole web page and make it look good and make it operate well.
I think most times that's kind of like, I think you're right. You're not in a small company, you're not going to get handed like a Photoshop wireframe, are you? It's just they're going to expect you to do kind of the whole thing.
Yeah. You might get a whiteboard sketch, you know,
like that. Exactly. And then when you make it look like that, they're going to be like, no, I don't even want it to like look exactly like that. I need you to actually design it.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know what the whiteboard font is.
Let's see here real quick. Just a little bit out of order, but Walker says he's 3/4 of the way through the blogs. Hopefully, we'll be joining them soon. That's awesome.
Nice, Walker.
And
good job.
Also says, of course, definitely helped me get past my anxiety of working with pre-built themes and actually getting something on paper. Yeah, and it's kind of funny. Somebody, I think it was in Discord, somebody had said yesterday, like, oh, like, I have to buy the theme? Like, oh, I have to... No, I think they said they want me to buy my portfolio. Like, yeah, kind of. Yes and no. You're going to buy the template.
You got to change it.
Exactly. You got to buy the template or use a free one. You can use. You don't have to do either one. We advocate for one because we like it, and it is a paid one, but there are plenty of free ones too. You don't have to buy it technically. But it comes down to the question was really, should I use a template?
Yeah, so the reason people don't want to use templates is they think that if I don't know how to build like a great site with parallax and all that kind of stuff from scratch, I can't do this as a programmer. And then they get stuck on that part.
Right. Yep.
You know, and it's like in the most cases, you can use a template in the corporate America for sure.
Right.
Because they're not going to want you to spend the time doing that part of it.
Yep.
They don't, in other words, like corporate America and a lot of jobs don't put value on that. Yes, they want it to look good, but I don't want to spend, 3 months making this look good. Let's get a template and let's get to the meat of the problem, which is the inventory system, the blog, or whatever we're trying to achieve. Right. Don't spend all that time and effort doing that. And some templates, you can bring them in, and after you change the colors, and you end up modifying them anyway to suit your layout anyway, and put your logo on it. It can be yours, and you can own it. That's why they make them.
They often don't. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. They often don't end up looking like the original did anyway. So that's kind of the point, right? It is that thing of starting out with something on a piece of paper versus a blank piece of paper. It's easier to manipulate something that already exists than it is to stare at a blank piece of paper and try and come up with something original.
And where the money is writing the application. That's where the money's at. Like that's what corporate America understands. Only in the rare case where if you're working for a brand, say, Coca-Cola or a Pepsi company or something like that, where they have a certain brand they want to match together. And then they have branding people that'll tell you the color palette, the colors and everything else, and they'll lay out things. And they'll have UX people that just give you a thing and you have to duplicate it. But for the most part, a template works fantastic.
There you go. Look, it's back. Alan's back.
What's up, Alan? How you doing? Yo, what's up, guys?
It's good to see you again. Even if it's only virtually. Let me see. Okay, what we got? Clara is up next. Let's see. When using the browser developer tool to inspect the site's code, you're not allowed to borrow sections of feature you like. What are the ethical guidelines around plagiarism and giving due credit? That's a great question. We don't get that one very often.
I don't. So number one, if you're looking at a layout, I don't think there's any plagiarism there at all whatsoever. I don't think there's any kind of plagiarism like rules around that. Now, if you copy someone's
branding is different
property,
yes,
okay, that's when you run into problems. So what I would say is, let's say I'm looking at Twitter, and I'm going to make a Twitter clone, and I'm going to go sell it. And it operates and looks exactly like Twitter does the exact same things. You're probably going to get some pushback from that.
Right.
So I think it's more about like what it does versus on the plagiarism. But like looking at someone's like structure of their webpage to borrow a section of like, man, that carousel is really hot. I like the way that carousel works.
That's literally how. That's the job, right?
Yeah, and then. Carousels are nothing new anyway. They probably borrowed it too. And all of us are getting this from the HTML spec to begin with.
Yep.
So I don't think you can criticize that.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Austin. Appreciate it. We'll come to your question here in a second. I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
But I agree. Yeah. It's like, ultimately, it's kind of all plagiarized. Like you said, it's all, everything comes from everything. There's nothing really original. It kind of is what it is. If you were to write it from scratch, you may end up with something that looks very, very similar if you're creating that thing anyway. So you can't say like the design of something is technically like is copyrighted or whatever you want to call it. It's like, no, it's fair game. You just have to understand it and be able to manipulate it. I think that's the thing. If you're just copying it and you don't understand it, then it's totally a waste of time and pointless.
Right. But typically, if you're borrowing a section, Clara, you probably know how it's going to fit into your thing and, how that's going to work.
Yep. But definitely, have at it. That's a very common thing.
Yep.
Okay. Sudhir wants to know which front end goes well with ASP.NET MVC, Angular or React?
So both of them with ASP to MVC. Typically with Angular and React, we're using Web API, which is a different form of controller than the MVC controller. MVC returns a whole page. Has a concept of returning a view, which is an entire page. So it doesn't need Angular or React at all. So like what it's doing is it's rendering the whole page. And then we're using Razor Pages, a technology inside MVC that allows you to do the binding and things like that. With Angular React, we're hitting services back in with Web API and C#. And that's why if you look at the templates inside of Visual Studio, that's what they're doing. So two different technologies to do two different things. So typically Angular React is hitting a service on the back end, and it's hitting a different type of controller called a Web API controller, not an MVC controller. Can you call an MVC controller from React? Absolutely you can, but it doesn't need the view. So like you end up doing, that's why Web API is better suited for that. It's just different, but you can do it if you want to. People use JavaScript on the front end you want. But Angular React, that's personal preference, what you want to use. It doesn't really matter which one you use. So,
okay, let's go back to Austin's
let's get back to his super chat.
You didn't have to super chat twice, Austin. You could just thrown it in there. I would have. I would have got you. So Austin wanted to know advice for learning web design, learning Adobe XD, reading laws of UX, and using Tailwind for personal projects.
So I think for us at Foundry, we're teaching full stack web development. And so we start with templates. That's kind of what we do. We don't teach web design. So I'm sure that there is a lot to these, to the laws of UI and UX that people do. I think mine's built over experience. I don't know if I'm the right person to teach web design for sure. I mean, so I think there's a lot of stuff on Udemy where you can learn the basics of how that layout, how that works. So.
It's definitely
There's a lot of tools around that, Figma and all that kind of stuff. And then using Tailwind or Bootstrap. We like Bootstrap. We think it's a little bit easier to use than Tailwind, but like you can use both. Whatever you want to use for personal projects is fine.
I also find in that realm too, there's a lot of opinions.
There's a lot of opinions about which.
A lot of it isn't science based, if you want to call it that. Yeah. It's like it's opinion based. It's like what we think works better. Like this works better than this, or you should do this or this. It's kind of interesting. And that's an ever evolving list of things too. That's the other thing I noticed. What's trendy today or might be good UX today isn't necessarily good UX tomorrow.
Yeah, so it does change over time, just like colors and like how things look and how web pages behave and look change over time too.
Yep.
So you got to stay up on that, and a lot of it is just very personal opinion, you know. Um, but I think you can look at other great projects to get an idea of like how they laid them out. Look
Exactly.
at UI designs. It's more
Yep.
about how does your user flow through the application and how they do that. So, and then there's obviously font and size and make sure that it works on all devices regardless of size. So, being responsive, make sure it works on mobile and big screens as well. All right, I hope that helped, Austin.
Okay, Frosty wants to know, I want to start my career and I'm still in 3rd semester doing a CS degree, but I really want to start working and implement what I've learned. Should I go for freelancing or work as a junior dev?
So you don't want to finish your CS degree at all? So 3rd
Hold on,
semester.
3rd semester is very, very early on, right?
Okay, that's fine.
So, hold on, semesters are 4 times a year?
Half years.
Half years? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a year and a half into, I'm guessing.
Second year.
Yeah.
In the first semester of your second year, that would be what's going on right now. So you want to quit after year 1, basically. So that's fine if you want to do that. I don't know. You're gonna have to, if you want to work as a junior dev, as a full-time employee, I think you're gonna need a portfolio if you have one of those. It's really hard to break in with nothing. Freelancing, again, you're going to have to do the same kind of thing, but a website of some sort so people can have confidence in what you can do. And then
you got to get customers.
You got to get customers,
which is the hardest part.
It's harder to do than I would say getting a job as a junior dev, because you got to like get a bunch of customers that will pay you to do whatever. So,
well, I guess that's the other thing. You get customers that will pay.
That will pay, and you can do that through Fiverr and all these other places as well. That's where you can start out to build up a portfolio of what you can do. But I think you need a frosty.com or something like that for junior dev or freelancing. And that junior dev website, you need to have projects on it. And same with the freelancing site, you're going to have to prove that you can do what you know how to do, say you can do. All right, good luck with that, man.
D-line. Was it delineate? Would that be delineate? Maybe.
Delineate.
We're going to go with that. We're going with delineate. What's to know? Morning. You said in the past, the first job doesn't have to be a web dev one. It can be QA, a tester, etc. How far from web dev can you get before the experience doesn't carry over? IT help desk experience relevant?
So IT help desk isn't going to necessarily always lead to a dev job, but it can. Just remember, if you're working at a company and they have a development arm, then working at the company is better than not working at the company. So always believe in paycheck first and then figuring out what we're going to do. A QA tester can lead to a web dev role because you're working directly with the development team typically to test what they're building. And there's also scripting involved inside most QA testing roles. Now, there's some companies out there that just do it manually. Hey, click to the site, And so, but a lot of times it's being automated through builds and things like that. So that it can get way more sophisticated than you think. And then if you need to pay the bills as a help desk person, then make sure that you're still coding on the side, building other projects, because you want to break into web dev. The only way you're going to break into web dev is showing what you can do and what you can build. So, but we all have to have a job and make money to earn a living so we can eat. So a job's better than no job. But help desk is fine. I mean, it's fine, but I think you have to code on the side if you do a help desk job.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So Daniel wants to know, does it have any point to learn C# if I'm on the Node stack as a junior?
If you're going to stay with Node, no. You're actually using JavaScript on the Node, so just stay with what you're doing. What we're saying is that we think C# has fantastic opportunities for your career as a whole. So that's what we think. So a lot of bigger companies are using React on the front, and they don't use Node, and they use Web API on the back with C#. So, but you're already working as a junior, and you're doing it on Node stack. That's fine. Keep doing it. Make sure that you're an expert as much as you can be in that stack as you learn as a junior, and build your career around that. You can learn C# whenever you feel like it's necessary for you to help your career out, or maybe you carve out a 20-year career on Node, which is fine too. People do it. I'm not saying that you can't. So just keep keep doing what you're doing. You've already broke in. Well, that's awesome.
Yep, definitely. Okay. Alberto, thanks for the question. Says, when will the Web API project be released?
Yeah, we're working on another MVC project right now. That's it's in development right now. So like, and then right after that, we'll go into building out the Web API project. But it won't be a project; it's gonna be a course. So there's a bunch of stuff in there. We're actually working on the React portions right now. So some of those have been built. We just got to get to recording. It takes a while to build the stuff that we do, but it'll be this fall.
It does, and we're still. Somebody else asked about the bug tracker too, and we are still working on that too. It's closer than it's ever been.
Yep.
But it does take a minute.
Movie Pro may come out before the bug tracker though, so like we're working on Movie Pro this week. So either way, both of them are great projects, and we'll have some new content out there soon.
Yep. Okay. Restless Stinker says plug number 2. This was from earlier. I feel like there's some book about breaking the code or something like that with the job process. Oh look, there is. Look, hold on. Here we go. I found this at Barnes and Noble. Look.
Cool. Yeah, really. Yeah, I know. It's shocking.
Cool.
Yeah.
Lots of pages in it too. Lots and lots of pages. Hey, and a cool picture of Spider-Man.
On page 96.
You can always, if you just buy it for the picture of Spider-Man alone, it's worth it. It's totally worth
NFT it. That one. I don't know if we get copyright, but we should NFT that one.
Maybe not. We have to cut an attachment on that.
Can we make bad Spider-Man pictures NFTs? Can we do that?
I don't know. We get sued by Marvel
for hero NFTs. That's what we need to do.
Bad comic book characters NFTs. We wouldn't make it through a week. We'd be sued.
Exactly. Marvel and Disney's coming for that change.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Disney definitely would. Let's see here. Big Alt says, "Yo, they finally moved into this." So here's that story we were talking about before. Like same kind of situation. Moving to the IT department as associate app analysis and developer. That's awesome.
Boom.
Followed your guidance from the book and videos. Thanks both of y'all. Awesome. That is super good. Very cool. There you go. Because I remember you asking before about moving internally. I think their advice was just figure it out and ask.
Yeah, people work with people they know and they like. This is the one thing about being nice in interviews. It's underestimated how much that can go to getting it and not getting an offer. And then finally, if you're in, like I was telling the last guy, if you're in the help desk and they do have the internal IT team there, the dev team, then it's possible to move over there because you can talk to the guy, you can help him out. Maybe you fix his printer, tell him, hey, I want to be a dev. Look at my project. It's real easy to do that versus on the exterior. So I'm glad he got moved to the IT department. Awesome, Big Alt.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very
Alex
cool.
Head Tech. That's his logo there.
Very cool.
So,
oh yeah,
all right, cool.
That now. Yeah, awesome. Hey, look who's here. Look who's here. Hey, Joe.
Coding Phase. What's up, man? We haven't talked in a while. What's up, Joe?
Yeah, we need to catch up. We need to do something. Yeah,
we need to do something together, man.
Yeah, we do. We need to do something. Okay, let's let me go back here.
I'm sure everyone knows who Coding Phase is. He's Joe Santos, my friend. He's way more popular than we are, so he needs no introduction.
Okay, Usama wants to know, how do I protect my site from hacking?
So you can look this up. There is there's the 10 things that you need to think about, but in general, if you want to protect pages, it must have a login page, okay? And then inside that login page, that's called authentication, which means the act of logging in. Then there's authorization, which is what am I allowed to do once I'm there. So you need to have an auth and an auth system from that. So if you don't know how to do that off the bat, look at third parties like Auth0. If you're using C# and .NET Framework, then identity is built into Web API and MVC. So it makes it really easy to make those systems. The second thing that you need to do is look at things like SQL query injection. So like if you're using a database or something like that, you need to make sure that you're not forming SQL in strings that can be ejected from, say, a query parameter. Same like that.
Because we'll just query a whole database with
like,
one injection.
You don't know this, like if you put a semicolon and behind a statement, then it'll run the actual next statement as well. So parameterized queries is what you should be looking at. I I think you should use something like a middle tier framework like Entity Framework or something like that to help you protect yourself from doing that. And then there's a host of other things that you can look into. So OWASP, we could put a link in there. I think it's WASP or OWASP. I may use the name that gives you the 10 things you need to look at.
Oh, so yeah, it is something. Yeah. We talked about this before. Yeah. Let me go find it here real quick.
Yeah.
But yes,
we'll put that in the chat.
And
so that's how you do it. So there's a lot of work. And then you, if you have a really big site and you're worried about it, then you can do a pen test. You can do it yourself. You can, or you can hire a company, which is more expensive. But there's pen testing tools that you can go and look at penetration testing if that's what you're worried about. And that'll give you, it'll test for all 10 of those things and a lot of other things. So
there you go. I threw it in chat. So that's
yeah. Cool. Hope that helps.
Okay. So this question this question's funny. I expect a full work through of this, by the way. Rico wants to know, could you rate backend frameworks by their difficulty, easiest to hardest? Go.
So here, in code we don't believe in what's easiest to hardest to learn. We believe in what's necessary to learn. And so I think if you look at the backend frameworks, say Node, and let's just compare the two we know most about, Node and say something like C#. If you're learning a backend framework just because it's easy, but it's not employable, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's pointless.
You know? And so the way we look at all of our conversations with people like you that come to us like that, it's like, what's employable? What can we get jobs with? Now, obviously you can get jobs with Node, obviously you can get jobs with the C# backend. So I don't know if any one of those are any more easy to use. Because once we go from hello world, okay, they're all easy to do that, right, to let me get to a database, employee security and things like that. I think personally, with all the built-in things, C# Web API and C# MVC is fairly easy to learn on the scale of difficulty learning backend frameworks. So it takes a minute. You're not going to learn it in one day. You can't learn how to do it in a day. But like I would pick the framework that's most employable in my area and learn that one. So do what's necessary, not what's easy. They're all going to be kind of the same way because we're all built on, and we're talking about web frameworks, we're all built on the same kind of thing, which is HTTP. So you're going to have get and post methods. You just are. That's what you're going to have. And but then you've got to figure out the other things. And I think C# backend Web API specifically is the most complete of all of them. It's got everything that you need to do to make a professional site. Kind of cool.
There you go. Let me see. Jordan wants to know, how can I convince my boss to let me work on front end mainly? I'm a junior dev and work mostly back end, but our front end is not mobile friendly. I bribe him, maybe? I don't know.
No, talk to him about it, man. Show him a sample with some Bootstrap, something like that. And, you know, depends on what the technology is on the front end, like what are you doing? But I don't know how you can convince him other than showing him.
Yeah, you do have to kind of tread a fine line with that too, though, because you can't go to him and be like, man, look, our website sucks on mobile. He's going to be like, well, I did that. And then you're definitely not getting a job looking on the front end.
Yeah. But I would say this, the other thing you can show him is like how much traffic he's getting on mobile on his front end website. And
so I bet you it's more than desktop, just like every website 80%. Is these days. Yeah.
I would say it's around 80%. People don't realize how much traffic's coming in through mobile. So he needs to track his analytics, looking at that, and his front end should be mobile friendly. Obviously, we believe in Bootstrap because it makes it easy to do, but you can do it with, you know, plain old, you know, CSS Grid or Flexbox or Tailwind or whatever you want to use there. So show him what you can do. Maybe he'll let you work on it.
Okay, Chitney, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I'm going to say Chitney. I hope that's correct. Sorry if I butchered it. Wants to know, how much reactjs do I need to know as a junior front-end dev?
You need to build a project from start to finish from scratch.
Yeah, you don't have to be able to recite it like it's a book.
No, but you need to know how to build it, which means you can Google a lot, you can do all those things, but I think that's what they're going to ask you to do. You know, so definitely need to know templating and how to bind things, and they're probably going to want you to work on the back end as well. Sometimes depends on what company you work for. They call it front end, but it's can you fix that database call as well? So you'll be in Node. I would learn React with Node the whole way through, or React with some other kind of backend technology. reactjs implies that they're using something.
Yep. Okay, Appreciate wants to know, MVC is a design pattern, right? Is it a Microsoft proprietary thing?
No, it's been used for 1,000 years. And so, like, there's Spring MVC. There's a lot of MVC.
They built the Egypts, the pyramids in Egypt with MVC. That's the rumor.
Yeah, that's right, man. They use model view controller. So, like, it's just a way of separating your code. I mean, there's a lot of people that use the MVC design pattern. It's not the only. And I'll be corrected here. It's an architectural design pattern before then. Some of the code Nazis.
That happens.
Yeah, it's definitely a design pattern, and it allows you to build a model where it represents your data, and that data could be a one-on-one with a table or a collection of tables. That model. A view represents what we commonly call the web page, and a controller accepts the request from the query string. So when we type in a query string, it goes to a controller, executes some code, and then it'll hit the database, and then it'll actually construct the entire web page and return that as a view to the browser. So that's kind of how MVC works. But it's not a Microsoft proprietary thing. It's just that they implement MVC in ASP.NET. It's a great pattern to learn. But they also have Razor pages, which behind the scenes is something called MVVM. And I think I like MVC better because I think it's more transferable to Spring MVC, Java, and even when you go into Angular and look at how it's laid out, it has the concept of a controller and things like that.
Just real quick, back to the learning backend thing. So Ben went through both of these. Ben learned both Node first and learned C# for backend. He said it was easier and that it does a lot more for you, and you don't have to worry about stuff. I think that's something we talk about a lot, isn't it? Like how much like the .NET framework does for you is nuts.
It's crazy. Like, well, it's just included. So like when you spin up a React site, you also got to bring in route React. Then you got to figure out security. There's just a lot of things that you got to do, and C# and specifically Microsoft on MVC and Web API has really kind of baked this out to where most of the things that you need are kind of baked in, and it's fairly easy to implement once you understand. Now, getting security involved in like that kind of stuff is always kind of like, at first time you do it, it seems kind of like crazy and complicated, and but once you get that pattern down, especially in the C# world, it's like, man, I add an authorized markup to your a filter to your controller, and then it just forces the login. It's kind of crazy how easy it is to do once it's set up. So now you can build all those patterns in Node, but I'm sure if you're building it for the first time and you come up with your own way of doing it, it's not secure. So it is secure if you do it the C# way. It's been thought out by lots of people.
Yeah. Let me see here.
And Ben, it's getting easier with minimal APIs too. So with .NET 6, so like it's even getting with even less templating, less boilerplate, less ceremony. It's building out very kind of, they're trimming it down a lot, make it a lot even easier to do.
Okay. Ron wants to know, any self-paced students of CF landed jobs because of the self-paced course?
So they don't talk to us like that, but we know one that said he did. So like, but exactly. It's only been out 3 months, and it's going to take a while to get through it. So yes, people have done it. The course is proven because we teach it the same course in our virtual bootcamp. The things that you learn is proven because, like, hey, if you know how to do .NET and C#, you're probably going to get a job if you can talk about it. So I think all of those things are proven. It's just, will you build it? Will you go through the effort, and how much time do you put into it to understand how it works? So
yeah. Yep.
But yeah, people have done it.
Okay, Mr. Me wants to know. It's what?
Oh, I love this question right now.
Yes. This I got 2 questions here. Firstly, I'm going to ask it as Mr. V asked it. Can .NET be used to build an iPad app?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can can it do it right now?
Yes.
Will it be even easier in the future?
Yes.
I mean, that's literally what they're thinking about, right? This is
So the entire reason for .NET 6 is called Project Reunion. So like, just to give you a little history of Microsoft. We're going to make a video about this. But in general, Microsoft had something called the .NET framework, but they had a bunch of other frameworks underneath that weren't related. In other words, like if you wrote it in .NET framework, it would work this way. And if you wrote a .NET framework standard, it would work this way. But those two things couldn't talk together. And then they had something called Mono, which had Xamarin on top of it, which allowed you to do cross-platform, but none of those work together. So what they did is they made .NET Core to say, we want to have one .NET framework that rules them all. You know, basically that it can use it to build anything, and not a bunch of frameworks that you have to figure out which one to use, and they're at various development cycles and all that kind of stuff. So it gets really confusing. So when they rolled out, one of the big things was cross-platform. So like when they finished .NET Core, they said, we've rewrote most of .NET under this new framework. They called it .NET 5. They said, all right, now we're done. Now it's .NET 5. And that primarily addressed cross-platform on web, which means that I can build a website today and I can push it to a Linux box or a Windows box, ISS or Linux, you know, Tomcat and those kind of flavors, whatever it is, whatever we're at the run up there. And now with .NET 6, I can now push that to, well, I could do it with .NET 5 too as well, but you can do it with or without containers, which is kind of cool. Now, natively, I can compile an ASP.NET application and I can push it to the platform. Now, if the platform doesn't support that initially, even though we figured out how to do this with on Heroku,
right.
You can use a container to get around that. And you basically deploy to your container, and then you shove the container up there, and that'll work on Linux and or iOS, however you want to build it. The exciting thing in .NET 6 is now what you're asking is we can build for the first time with one code base an iOS app, which is include iPad and your phones, iOS phones, an Android app, okay? And that's kind of cool. That's what Xamarin did. Now, .NET MAUI says, I want to take iOS, Android, and now I'm going to add two more things to it, Windows and macOS, which is kind of cool. So now with one code base, I can deploy to 4 places. Now, because .NET is open source, guess what else? The community has stepped in, and the community has now compiled .NET MAUI, and now they have it working on Linux. So now we can deploy to Linux on the desktop. We can deploy to Windows on the desktop. We can deploy to macOS on the desktop. We can deploy to Android and iOS, which include the iPhone, and the iPad. It's write it once, run anywhere type scenario, and that's very exciting. That's what .NET 6 is all about. So your answer is yes, and Android, and Windows, and macOS. And if you're brave, you can use a community one and push it to Linux. I can't say how well that works, but there's a community project that pushes it to Linux. Mr. Me. All right, cool. You said you had 2 questions?
No. That was it.
Okay.
Okay. Akshay Kumar says, you said C# is a very good language to start with. What about Java?
You can learn Java if you want. What we think, and depends on where you live.
Coffee. I like coffee.
Yeah. It's not, like I said, it's not what is easy, and it's not what's good to start with. It's what will get you a job. That's how we approach this. So what are companies using? They're using C# in droves. And when you look at .NET 6, we're going to make a video about this. The amount of time and effort Microsoft is putting into not only the language itself, C#, the systems around it, which is like ASP.NET Core and Windows development and all that kind of stuff with .NET MAUI, the tooling, and which is Visual Studio, VS Code, then the ancillary things like TypeScript and those kind of things that push it around make you a very kind of competitive developer. Now, if you're looking at web, then you're looking at Spring MVC, and then there's some middleware things like Beans or whatever it's called on the middleware where you write your code that you want to do. And so if you're living in somewhere else, just by your name, you may be living somewhere in India, Pakistan, wherever, look at Java around in your area, and you can say that. Now, if you're in the US, I can say definitively C# is going to be the better choice over Java in just about every market, because Java was primarily used, a lot of its usage was in and around Android development and for devices. And Google has since moved on from that with Flutter, Dart, and their language Go. So like there may be less usage for Java. Now, do people use it to build websites? 100% they do. I just think that C# gives you a much more better way and much more companies that are maybe using it. And it's definitely more forward thinking than Java is. So that's undeniable. The amount of money they're putting into C#. C# is going to have a release of the language every 12 months, which means C# 10 comes out in November. C# 11 will come out in the next November. The same can't be held true for Java. So it's like very forward thinking, very innovative. And I just think it's the best place to start. But so, you can learn Java if you want.
With that said, ATM wants to know, course update for .NET 6?
It's going to take us a minute because it's not even out yet. So we don't want to do it too early. But I would say that in the first quarter of next year, yes, we're going to build everything, at least the MVC parts in .NET 6 for sure. It's the tooling's not done. It's in preview. .NET 6 is in preview. So once it hits release candidate, sometime in October, that means it'll go live in November. So depending on how early we want to hit it, we'll probably hit it once we feel like everything is kind of done, especially on the website. It's like it's not going to change. The last thing we want to do is build something in .NET 6, and then there's a last minute change that kind of breaks stuff, and then we got to redo the course. So it'll be early in the year. But like, hey, if you're learning .NET 6 in January, I promise you're ahead of the game.
Right.
I promise you. No one's looking at in November 15th when that thing comes out. They're going on Christmas vacation in the US, man. They're learning that in January.
You know, there's always one guy's posting a job is going to be like 1 year experience in .NET 6 required.
Exactly.
Like, dude, it came out yesterday. Like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of another .NET question, Ron wants to know, is hosting for .NET really expensive?
It depends on where you go. I mean, if you're hosting your
Azure can be.
And so can AWS. They can be.
Yeah.
We host our student portfolios run on Heroku. So if you're going through our Selfpaced course, we show you how to get the build pack into so you can build and host on Heroku and have a really great free platform. Now, the free platform isn't the fastest. So depending on what you're trying to achieve, but if you're just trying to host your own stuff, you can host on Heroku for free with .NET. So it can be cheap, but if you need performance and you're working for a large company, Azure and AWS are going to get expensive, but that's not usually the first concern. It's availability, uptime, and those kind of things.
Yeah, you can afford the cost when you go to those kind of platforms.
But I think your really question is, do I have to host on Windows or can I host on Linux? And the answer is you can host on Linux. And so that's typically cheaper than hosting it on ISS.
Yeah, it's like the question is like, can it be really expensive? Yes, it can be. Yeah. Can you also do it for practically free? Yes, you can.
Yeah, and everything. And really nowadays, it's like the expensive part is database. So like database is the one they're still charging an arm and a leg for. But Postgres is what we're using in the course because they have a great free tier.
Okay, so a couple of quick fire questions. This one's one for me from Alex. Which, by the way, Alex, being that you're here, go back and watch the beginning of this because we want to know about your NFT. You missed it. You missed it if you weren't. I'm guessing you weren't here because you didn't answer. So if you are now, so maybe we'll talk about it later. Favorite Premier League team? I'm not going to alienate everybody and tell you my favorite or least favorite. I definitely have my least favorites. But I spend my entire weekends now at the Premier League back on again watching football. I'll get up and watch the 7:30 game, and I will watch the 10 o'clock game, I'll watch the noon game, and I'll watch the Saturday and Sunday if I can. If my wife will let me. My actual team isn't in the Premier League. It's in the division below. So not good enough to get to the Premier League.
Yeah, saying who you like in Premier is kind of crazy.
Well, it's going to alienate too many people here. Someone's going to be like, NC17 is going to like yell at me because it's not Spurs. So, are algorithm and data structure concepts part of for web developer interviews?
It can be. I mean, some do, some don't. I mean, it just depends on who you're interviewing with. So I think data structure concepts is the most important of the two. You may hear about arrays and things like that more often than you would do this as a recursive binary tree or something. It's kind of crazy. But problem solving is a core thing. So if you're worried about that, And let's say you go to an interview and you get inundated with these kind of questions. You can go to like, there's a lot of these algorithm type course websites out there. There's Daily Coding Problem, there's Leak Code. There's a lot of them out there where you can study up on some of the common questions about in this arena. So, but if you're building things and you have stuff to show, I think that's more important than just spouting information during a web dev interview. Show a project, man. And guess what? That project will have data structures and it has to.
Right. Has to have something. Talk about actual something solid. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Gar wants to know, anyone have experience with boot camps? I mean, we do.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking into Launch School. I've not heard of Launch School before. You heard of that one?
I haven't either.
I'm not familiar with that one. But I already graduated from Reviture. It didn't work out.
Okay.
Yeah, not to disparage Reviture, but we've heard that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at ours. Go to coderfoundry.com and you can take a look.
Yeah. Learn.coderfoundry.com. You can check it out.
Oh yeah, check out learn.coderfoundry.com. You can pick out which one. Yeah. Which is right here. Look, too, by the way. There it is. And the link's in the description below. So go if you're still here.
Start September 27th. You'll learn .NET and C#.
Yep.
Check it out.
Shameless plug. Are we allowed? We're allowed to shameless plug our own stuff on our own channel, aren't we? Is that okay? Does that annoy anybody? If it does,
we can just, if
it does, don't say anything.
We could.
I could totally put the scrolling ticker down there. Does it annoy anybody? And if it does, don't tell me. I don't know. Let's do one last one before we jump off. We're a couple minutes after.
Yeah.
So Jason wants to know, is WordPress development a good way to get your foot in the door?
Well, you can get your foot in the door and actually get a job and make money. I mean, like, there's a lot of people, that's their whole entire career. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
It's crazy popular.
Yeah. You know, if that's the way you want to go, it's the most used platform for building websites, period.
And the good thing about WordPress is you can start very, very simply and learn basically just the CMS itself, right? It's good enough for some people, but then you can also extend it. You can learn even more. You can learn the HTML, the CSS, and the PHP side of it too, if you want to. You can build themes and stuff.
And things like
that. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. I think it's great. I like it a lot. Cool. Okay.
All right.
We'll be back on Thursday. Another fun session.
On Thursday.
I didn't get to everybody's questions, but hopefully you guys that I didn't get to them, we will come back on Thursday. And
come back on Thursday and ask some questions.
Answer them. This is funny, Mark, because that was literally my answer.
I am Groot. You said it. You just didn't tell anyone what it was. So.
And Martin, I take offense to this. I take serious offense to that.
Now you're showing your colors a little bit.
Oh, that's funny. I wouldn't not a Chelsea fan. Sorry, Chelsea fans. I know there's a lot of you out there. It's not a Chelsea fan. Okay. We'll be back on Thursday. So same time, noon Thursday. If we didn't get to your question, I apologize. Come back Thursday, throw it in, and we'll see if we can get to it. Show up early.
Good luck and keep coding, guys. We'll see you later.
We'll catch you guys later.